Ready?
Let's go.
No question. You're ready.
If you feel those things and you know those things, you wouldn't have had that thought if it wasn't meant for you. Like, you wouldn't have had that thought of some big dream if it wasn't meant for you to really execute it.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Day.
And I'm Anna Cantu.
And you're watching
EmpowHER.
This is the podcast designed to inspire high-achieving women through powerful conversations on home, mindset, and business, so that you can live fully, lead boldly, and create a life that feels just as good as it looks.
And today we're so excited to have our guest, and it's none other than Juline Smith. And you are the CEO of Amira & Co. Remodel.
Thank you for having me.
And Juline actually has a luxury home design and construction business. And you've, over the last 20 years, have served, communities like Southlake, Colleyville, Argyle, Keller, right out here in our backyard in our neck of the woods. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm super nervous.
And that is okay. You mean you're a human?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
So let's go ahead and get started. So we're very excited to have you here once again. And we just want to know more, right? So tell us your backstory and how you found your purpose in your work.
Well, it definitely started when I was a little girl. Like, my first memories are like moving things around in my room, painting my rooms all kinds of colors, like teals and greens and blacks and all the things, hanging all kinds of things up there. And luckily I had parents who were very encouraging and kind of let me just kind of explore and be myself. And so that definitely, helped and added to it. And then
How old were you?
My earliest memories of those are like 10.
Okay.
Of doing things like that. I remember my mom taking me to a paint store and me like picking out paints, and it was so much fun. And
wow.
Yeah.
So did you do designs, or did you just do straight color?
All kinds of designs, colors. I tried all kinds of bold things. Like, I painted my trim work in my room black. I mean, I just explored, tried things, expressed myself. I loved art, so I always like drew and things like that, and so it was just something I really enjoyed. I didn't know that there was a field that was related to that. I didn't realize that interior design or renovation or any of that existed. I grew up in Belize, which is a small little country in Central America.
And just a small little country that we don't
paradise.
love to vacation to.
Yes. I lived where people vacation from all over the world.
When are you going back home again?
I know, right? Y'all come with me.
We're going.
Yeah, y'all can come with me. So I mean, that was a fun childhood, being able to express myself, being able to, do all that. And so when I went to college, I actually found out there was a degree in that actually existed as an industry. And so I took the leap, and I was actually there to study sciences. I was studying to be a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah. Studying to be a
completely different
plastic surgeon
field.
at the time.
So still some type of artistry.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, that came out years later when I worked with a business coach. You do all this homework and deep digging and all these things about your past and passions and things like that. And she was just like, okay, so the connection through your entire life has not been about the reconstructive surgery. It's not necessarily about the construction. It's not necessarily about the interior design. It's really about the transformation that really drives you. It's like executing that transformation for people and having an impact that you're really after. And it was like right there in my face, but it took that third party to just like really like show me.
And let me ask you this, what was it about digging deep into your past that allowed you to understand the transformation that you're trying to provide others?
Everything that I was passionate about, like the fact that I wanted to be a reconstructive plastic surgeon for burn victims. It was never about like cosmetic surgery. Not that anything's wrong with that, but that wasn't like what the driving force between what I wanted to do. The reason I was going to study to be a plastic surgeon was for burn victims. It was to make an impact. It was to really do something that was impactful for someone's daily life.
And their self-esteem.
Yeah. and just really truly like changing their outlook on life and how they feel about themselves, and something just daily that would an impact that would last, you know.
Why is that so important to you?
Oh boy. Good one. I think that many of us, even from like our earliest memories, you just like have this like deep pitted feeling inside you that you're meant for something big, you're meant to do more, you're made to have an impact, you're made to have change people's lives in some way or the other. And I've always had that. I've always had that like unsettled feeling in the pit inside my core of knowing that there's more, there's an impact, there's change, there's I don't know how to describe it. It just like lives there and brews.
There's a fire in you.
Yeah, it's like that fire in you that you just like, you know, you have to get it out. You know, you're supposed to do something big. You know, you're made for greatness. Like all those things that have always stirred up in my life. Like all my life, I've always felt that. But I've never voiced it. I've never talked about it. You know, it's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to talk about those things. But I just feel like if you feel those things and you know those things, you wouldn't have had that thought if it wasn't meant for you. Like you wouldn't have had that thought of some big dream if it wasn't meant for you to really execute it. And so it's kind of forcing me to like push myself a little bit.
And tell the audience, you grew up in Belize, and how old were you when you came to the States?
I was 20.
Okay.
So I was 20, I packed up 2 suitcases. I flew to Georgia to go to university. I knew nobody in Georgia. I'd never been there. I brought my 2 suitcases, mostly full of books, and just basically went and pursued a new life. Yeah.
So that's when you went into the interior designing and construction and all that stuff.
Yep,
Okay.
that's when I studied interior design. I studied interior design in Georgia. And I just never looked back. I mean, I had my associates in science because that was the route I was going at the time. And the first day I found out that they offered interior design program, I changed all my majors, my whole major. I changed all my chemistry classes, all the things, and studied interior design. And and then didn't tell my dad for a year.
Right. Dad, I'm not going to be a doctor.
Don't take over my townhouse. Please don't cut off the credit card.
So when you finally did, what happened then? Like when you finally did?
He was not happy. He was just like, his first response, sorry, Dad. His first response was, do you want to be poor? Because in Belize, that industry doesn't exist. There is no need for it. And here I am studying to be a doctor. And, you know, I could have studied being a doctor there. I didn't have to. He didn't have to send me away internationally. He didn't have to pay international rates. He didn't have to pay for my townhouse. He didn't have to give me a credit card to go start a whole new life. You know what I mean? But that's what I wanted. And at first he was kind of hesitant, and he was just, and then I was just like, okay, so what would it take for me to go? What would it take? And he was just like, okay, get a scholarship and then we'll talk. I was like, done, go do it. So I went and I got a scholarship.
How did you get your scholarship?
I basically went and pursued, I knew I wanted to go to a small campus, a small university. And so I went and basically found out what the requirements were to get a scholarship. I had the grades, and I did tons of community work and extracurricular things. I had donated my time for Habitat for Humanity since all through high school. So I built houses for Habitat for Humanity. The irony of like the circle, you know, not knowing, you know, as a teenager that was impacting.
You were giving back to the community.
Yeah, but I love that. I love giving back to the community. I've always done volunteer work, but the irony of, you know, building houses for people as a teenager.
Yeah. Always in some type of home design.
Not realizing the impact or what it was doing. You know, I thought I was giving back to the community, but really and truly it had an impact on me. It was shaping me, even though I didn't realize it as a teenager, you know? Yeah.
I love that you follow your heart, your gut feeling of this is what I want to do. Because I think a lot of times, you know, as kids, we're okay with following the steps of what our parents wants us to do, and then you're stuck.
Or what the norm is.
Yes, and then you're stuck in, doing something that you're not
Passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, we don't want to disappoint our parents, right? Wow. So, I'm going to ask you one more question about this, and then I'd love to, kind of progress on. But I mean, what does it take, inside of you in order to be that person, right? That decides to, pursue your dreams, leave your family, your home base, your country, start over in a completely different country, and, ask the steps, well, what is it going to take in order for me to be able to pursue my dreams? And then you go out and do it. Like, what does it take out of you? Who do you have to become and be in order to do things like that?
I feel like for me, it's, I think it comes back to like that burning desire, like just knowing that there's more out there, just having that unsettled feeling. And it's not about being uncontent, because I know I've always had a great life. I'm grateful for everything that I've been given, all the opportunities I've been given, all those things. But that unsettling of knowing there's more and having that drive to just really chase it, I've heard in the past that I have a purpose. There's something I am meant to do here. And if I don't do it and I don't feel those shoes, then it just gets left undone. So what happens to the people who were supposed to be impacted by me, So I think it comes back to that that burning desire, that drive inside of you.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people have it and they don't acknowledge it, or they do what I do, which I did for many years, is hide from it,
Oh yeah, because we're scared to
Yeah,
death.
scared. It's scary.
It's scary putting yourself out there. It's scary being vulnerable. Don't go on camera and share your vulnerability with the world.
Exactly.
I mean, So, what belief about yourself or your journey did you actually have to unlearn in order to become who you are today?
This is one that hits home. It's kind of a recent realization. It's kind of a recent development. I was actually driving. I remember exactly where I was, and a lot of times those moments in life, it's just so clear. I remember like it was yesterday. I was driving down Davis Boulevard. I was headed to a job site, and I was listening to podcasts. And here we are, So hopefully this podcast will make an impact on someone else, like this podcast made on me. But the host was talking about being scared to be seen, and she said something to the effect of, "You're doing a disservice to the potential clients if you're allowing them to hire another company who's giving them a lesser service or a lesser product because they don't know about you." Because you're too scared to be seen, because you're too scared to be known. Woo! It was, I teared up immediately. I felt, I knew she was talking to me. Really, truly, that's all it comes down to, is like sometimes you just know it's meant for you. I kind of felt like someone like holding Amira up, like, that's you, come on, you know it, you feel it.
What part of what she had said was pulling at you so much? Like, why did you feel so exposed in that moment?
I think it's because I grew up in a tight-knit community, and my dad is a very prominent entrepreneur. So my whole life I grew up with everybody knowing who I was. Like, I walk down the street and people call me by name, people I do not recognize, people I don't know. And so even though I wasn't like some wild child or anything like that, I just always felt judged and seen and evaluated, and all these things that I guess I didn't want to feel. And then fast forward, I go off to college and I think, well, leave that behind. I don't have to worry about that anymore. All that stuff. And then I ended up marrying into a family who's really well known, who's really well known in the city, and kind of fell back into that feeling of, I just want my kids to like run around in the mud and not feel like people are watching them or judging them, or because they know who they are, you know? So I kind of feel like I've always kind of been running away from the limelight. Like even my career, like even the last 20 years, like I've always like done great work and had great clients, but never put myself in the spotlight. Like never competed for accolades or all the things that put you in the spotlight. I've always just run away from that. And that podcast just really hit home, because especially in the industry I'm in, there's so much bad construction. There's so much disconnection between when a designer does the design and then they hand it off to a contractor. There's so much loss. There's so much that falls through the cracks. Our industry is really messy. There's a lot that goes wrong, and I kind of feel like I knew I wanted to do something different, and I feel like she just kind of hit it on the head of needing to be seen in order to give people a good service.
I appreciate that, because in my past experience, I was remodeling my home, and we had I'm just going to talk from past experience here. We had ordered some wood floors, and we paid with a credit card, right? $10,000 wood floors, and it never got delivered. And I kept on asking the flooring guy, where is the floor? And my husband kept on asking me, and I had I didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah.
And then he just kept on pushing it. What he was doing is using the floor that we had purchased for the next home, and the next home, and the next home, and we just had to wait. So I really appreciate you coming forward and saying, here I am loyal, I would not steal from you, and we will do the right job.
Yeah.
Because there's so much disconnection when it comes to hiring someone with integrity or no integrity. You just don't know who you're working with. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's so sad, because you hear it day in and day out. Like you hear it all the time of contractors taking a large sum of money and then not showing up, or they come in and like tear up someone's house and then they don't show up for weeks, and they're living, in construction. And I've literally heard of like projects costing 4 times as much of the budget of what they promised them, taking like years instead of a few months. I mean, it's really bad. The industry is
nightmarish.
It's pretty nightmarish, yeah. And I was just like, there's got to be something different. Like, why is there nothing different,
Well, that falls into our next question, and it's a heavy one.
Oh boy.
So if you could sit across from, a woman ready to transform her home, but it's overwhelmed by the process, right? Who is she? What is she facing? And what would you want her to hear from you about the power of design to change everything?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Day.
And I'm Anna Cantu, and we are Day & Cantu Luxury Homes here with EXP Luxury.
And we help families create abundance through the love and the harmony of home.
We are luxury real estate professionals here in Southlake and the surrounding areas.
So give us a call when you're ready to transition to your next level of luxury.
Are we having wine or are we having coffee? I'm just kidding.
I think you need to have both.
Take both.
Double fisted.
Yes.
Let's do this. I actually know this woman very well. We work with her every day. I mean, she's obviously capable. She's smart. But the reality is, like, she's busy. She's juggling kids. She's got a career. Maybe she's got elderly parents. Like, she's got all these things going on. And the questions in her head are like, what if I make the wrong choice? I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what I like until I see it. What if I spend all this money and it doesn't turn out the way I want it to be? How do I know that it's going to be, something functional for us? Yes. Who do I trust with this big investment? Things like that. I mean, we work with them every day. We know what she looks like. We know her thoughts. And, for us, we have kind of a system in place for every single pain point in construction, and that's very intentional. That's the reason we're a design build. That's the reason we do design remodel as opposed to handing off, is because we're eliminating all the pain points of construction through the process. For her, I just, what's the second part of the question? Sorry.
You would just have a system for her to be able to feel comfortable that you're coming in with, you know, the background that you offer, with all the work that you have performed in the area as well.
Yeah.
So I think all of that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And what is your process, and how does it simplify and, you know, bring clarity and peace, right? And comfort to someone who is, she's heard horror stories. Maybe she's experienced a horror story in the past.
Oh,
we
we have those. Yeah. I think the thing about that's different is the traditional way that this process works is you work with a designer, they do the design, and then that designer or that homeowner is then having to go find the contractors or the trades to execute that design. Now they're going to probably do this one time in their life, which means they're kind of guessing on who to hire, where to go, what to spend, is this what I want, you know, all the things. And so because we do design build, it's completely seamless. So it's from start to finish. So not only do we get inside their head and really do the digging of the way their family works and what they want, but then we also do, you know, all the design selections. We do 3D renderings, so the homeowner can truly see what that's going to look like before we start construction, before we swing a hammer. We put together the entire budget so that they know what the investment's going to be before they go into it. And then we execute. We do all the construction, we manage the entire budget, we manage the timeline, the construction timeline, we schedule, we order, we do everything from start to finish, so that the homeowner doesn't have to do any of it, really. They a lot of them go to a second home, they go on vacation, you know what I mean, things like that. They take a break for the construction. It's and I set the expectations. It's, you know, it's a long process, and it's hard to have people in your home. So, you know, we're just honored for the people who trust us with their homes, because it's their biggest investment. It's where they like do life. It's a huge compliment. And, you know, the biggest compliment is all of our clients have sent us referrals. All of our clients have historically sent us friends. That's the biggest compliment. Yes. Because not only did they love like the design and the process and everything, but they actually trusted us and felt good at the end of the process to tell friends about us. So that's the biggest compliment.
Huge.
So I kind of want to circle back. How does your purpose in home design, right, like providing this type of result for the client, right? Like, where does your purpose step in providing all of this? I mean, because home is one of the most important places in life.
Yeah,
if not the. So
I think for me, it's because it comes right back to that transformation, and it comes back to those impactful moments in life that I didn't even realize were impacting me at that time, of wanting to transform something, wanting to have an impact, wanting to make a difference. And I feel like all of those things lend themselves to this process and lend themselves to this industry, because we're different from the normal standard companies who do this. I think that's why it's just that desire to transform, that desire to have an impact. And
well, let me ask you this: why home? Why have that desire to impact home?
I think because I'm personally like very impacted by my surrounding. So like my surroundings impact me. They change my mood. It has a direct impact on whether I feel relaxed or happy or stressed or whatever. And it's our biggest investment. So like for me, it's like that truly says something about, you know, how important that space is, for it to be your biggest investment, and to be able to have an impact, you know, where people are like living life and raising kids and making memories, and it's impactful for myself and so I know for other people as well.
So was home a association of great memories, good fond memories, loving memories for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents are actually divorced. So they're divorced, but what's so funny about it is they're best friends. It's so unusual. It's so unusual, but they truly get along so well. Like, I can't tell you how many times just in the last year, I can think of 2 right off the top of my head, that my parents were both at my house at the same time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they're both there at the same time. And, my stepmom, no problem, whatever, gets along great. In fact, my mom taught my stepmom how to bathe a baby.
Oh my God!
When she had her first baby, my little
Aren't
brother.
we progressive?
But it's about a community, and it's about like doing what's best for the kids, and it's about, they always had a good relationship and a good friendship, and so continuing that even after the divorce and the separation and all those things. Like, even today, they're like good friends. Like, my dad trusts my mom to do stuff for him, for like paperwork and banking, things that you don't normally trust your ex-wife to do, I would assume.
Sure.
But he truly trusts her, and she really looks out for him. So it's kind of one of those abnormal situations, I guess, but it definitely impacted me, because obviously the alternative to that would have been, an unstable
Chaos and
home where there's,
crazy.
yeah, exactly. Whereas they just always raised us together, even though they weren't together. It's interesting.
That's beautiful.
Very mature.
So so you're creating more stability and harmony in the home.
Yeah, I
Love that.
Love that.
So that goes to our next question. So what project are you currently working on that you're especially excited about? Can you tell us more, and what makes it stand out for you?
Every homeowner we work with has such a different story, and for different family dynamics and different whatevers, and each part of it is unique and fun for different reasons. But right now we're actually in the early stages of design for a homeowner in South Lake, and what's really kind of special about it is that she actually had a horror story. I just comment. She had a horror story. She had renovated her bathroom. And she said that everything that could go wrong went wrong. So like, she didn't get to really select what she was gonna get. She had to approve things that she couldn't even tell what it was. The communication was lacking. There were, people not coming there. And then to make matters worse, her bathroom flooded. And ruined all the spaces below it.
Wow.
So needless to say, she was very nervous to actually come back and revisit the idea of transforming her home. And her home's not bad. I mean, it's just dated. And so she knew she wanted to do it, but she was definitely very nervous. And so what I think is kind of fun and unique about that one is that we get to kind of show her a different experience. Like, she gets to experience something different. She gets to experience the way I think the industry should be, where there is communication, where there is a plan, where she does know what she's going to invest before she starts, where people show up every day. We keep the commitments. We know that this is their home, their space. We respect that. We are honored to work there. So I'm just excited for her to see that there's something else, that there's something different, that it's, what she experienced wasn't the norm. And
so when is that project going to be finished?
So we normally take 6 to 8 weeks during the design process. And that's because that's when you want to make changes. That's when you want to make approvals. That's when you want to really commit. That's when you want to really look at the numbers. We don't want to do that when we are in construction. When you're in construction, that's not when you want to make changes, guys. That's not when that's what blows the budget. That's
we
what
cut
messes
lumber
up the
for
timeline.
this.
Yeah. So during that planning, the planning phase is just as important, really maybe more important than the construction stage. That's when you really want to make the changes and make sure that's what you want. So that's I'm excited for her.
Well, we can't wait to see it. I mean, we've seen a lot of the projects you have completed in the area.
Yeah.
And they're just beautiful, guys.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
So, lastly, what is the first step that someone can take to, begin to transform their space and into a true reflection of who they are? How can they get in contact with you and explore what is possible for them?
Yeah, that's exciting. I think being aware. So I think when you're in your home, asking the questions, right? Like when I'm getting home from work and I'm in my bathroom getting ready for bed, does it feel like a spa? Does it feel relaxing? Do I like how I feel in this space? When you have company over, you're cooking dinner, is the kitchen functioning, or is it frustrating you, through the whole process? When you're doing family and life in the home, like, does the flow feel natural? Does it feel connected? Do you feel like you can do family naturally in that space, or is it not conducive to that? Do you enjoy doing laundry? Maybe updating the space will help a little bit.
I was just telling my boyfriend the other day, I'm like, honey, this is why you need someone. You need someone to do laundry together. You need someone to fold them and put them away with you. Like, who wants to do that? I'm like, I will live out of a laundry basket for a week. And it's like, okay, whenever the laundry basket is empty, that's when I know I need to do laundry again.
It's time to do more. That's funny. But we joke, but truly it's one of those things you have to do. So let's make it a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more functional. Your office is a huge one. Does it have the right storage, or is everything just piled up because there's nowhere to put anything? Just every single space. I think that awareness of like, even like your floors, is it just dated? Is it just worn out? You know what I mean? Like, once you're aware, then I think you can really I think that's a good starting point of because then you're really in tune with your home and what's working and not working. Then I think that's the time to reach out. And we're so honored. We know that someone's home is like their private space. We don't take that for granted. We're so honored to help people transform their homes. We're so grateful that people trust us with their homes. And they can find us on our website, AmiraandCoRemodel.com. Click that little, work together. Even if you're in the beginning stages and we want to come see and chat with you and all the things.
I love how you explain, how do they connect with you? Mm-hmm. You started by saying, does your space feel the right space to do life?
Yeah.
So I love that about it.
Yeah. It's a space that you're making memories and raising a family. It might be the place that you enjoy the last season of life with aging parents. It might be, there's so much that happens in the home. There's so many sweet things about it. And then when you're ready to hand over that, loved home, call Cynthia and Anna and start over.
Yeah, let's do it.
Start over.
After you've already upgraded and updated and brought more value to your investment.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We're so grateful to have you here again. Once again, transparency about how you do business different. Yeah. It shows on the referrals that you continue to get from your previous clients. Yeah. And that's something that we also appreciate in our business as well.
100%. That's why we always recommend and refer you. Like, you are our go-to gal.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you all. I love it that we met.
So thank you for watching another episode of
EmpowHER.
And we just want to make sure that women like you get all of the support and the tools that you need to have it all. Hi, I'm Cynthia Day.
And I'm Anna Cantu, and we are Day & Cantu Luxury Homes here with eXp Luxury.
And we help families create abundance through the love and the harmony of home.
We are luxury real estate professionals here in Southlake and the surrounding areas.
So give us a call when you're ready to transition to your next level of luxury.